Welcome back. I wanted to share something with you guys, a time where God healed me in a powerful and unexpected way. And just to give you the backstory on this, I had injured my back in 2006. I was at the Olympic Training Center where I would spend the summers training. My plan was after college, I was going to wrestle on the world team, be a world champion, Olympic champion. I had really big goals. But at the time, I'm in college. I'm going into my senior year, and I am actually leaving the Olympic Training Center. It's my last day in Colorado Springs. I'm about to walk out the door, and a coach calls me back, and he says, "Michael, this guy needs a wrestling partner." The world team was going through a training camp, and they needed someone to train with one of their team members. So I ran back real quick to do an overtime go. And back in this day in 2006, the overtime go in wrestling was you let a guy get in on your leg and he grabs a hold of your leg and the ref says go. I mean, it was, you're getting lifted up, you're, whatever happens, happens, right? And this guy was a few weight classes above me, probably shouldn't have been wrestling him, but as soon as he grabs a hold of my leg and I'm getting set, they say go. Whistle blows. I'm up in the air and I get dropped flat on my back. And I hit so hard, I knew something was wrong. I didn't know if it was going to be a long lasting injury or temporary, but I can remember reaching back, feeling my back, and feeling this lump in my spine where one of the discs was bulging out. And I knew then, like, this is not good. And I kind of crawled over to the side. I got up and I had to go get on a plane. So I didn't have time to go to the resident physician there and get checked on. I went straight back to Chattanooga, and I was going into my senior year of wrestling, and it was very difficult because I had this pretty catastrophic back injury. There were times when I couldn't tie my shoes, and things were very painful. I finished my senior year of wrestling, but the injury cut my career short because it was very, very uncomfortable sitting down. Uh, just it always felt like I had a heavy weight on my shoulders that I was carrying with me. And so this was 2006. Now, fast forward to 2019, I had been living with this chronic pain. I was hanging upside down on inversion tables. I was carrying heating pads with me everywhere I went. Like at work, it was always like I was heating up the heating pad in the microwave, and people just always knew that's Michael's heating pad in there for his back. And so I could never fully get comfort or relief from this. It was always a pressure that I felt. And 2019, I'm praying for my mother to be healed from cancer. And one of the things that my mother had said to me that really bothered me was when I was praying for God to heal her, she said, "I'm not worthy to be healed." She thought there were things that she had done that disqualified her from God's grace or from this healing power somehow. And that bothered me. So I was praying for my mother, and I remember being in this car all by myself, and I'm praying, God, just let her feel worthy to be healed. And as I'm praying this prayer, I'm in discomfort. I'm in my seat and I'm kind of you just kind of you don't feel good. And I just that was my cross to bear. That pain was something that I just had to have, right? And I remember God's voice plain as day. He says, "You're praying for your mother to be worthy of being healed, but you don't believe you're worthy to be healed." And in that moment, I felt convicted because here I am. It's a hypocrite. Let her be healed, but what about me? I'm not worthy of being healed. So it called me out in a very powerful way. And as I'm driving down the road, I just put my hand on my back and I remember just calling out and saying, "God, heal my back right now." And instantly, I felt this relief that I hadn't felt since 2006. And people will say, "Yeah, you got what you thought it was placebo effect. You just believed it, and that's what that's what happened." But when you're dealing with a chronic back injury and it goes away, you know it. And I remember at dinner that night, my mom was there and some of our family was there, and my mom says, "Michael, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "You're being really quiet." And I said, "Look, God just healed my back." And she kind of looked surprised, like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, God just healed my back. I remember walking around the store that night. We were walking through Walmart, and I just felt so light. My hips didn't feel locked up anymore. And I wanted to go around yelling to everyone, like, "God just healed me." God, you just want to tell everyone, like, "Hey, look what he just did." Um, but when you're dealing with something like that, uh, it's just to know that God still heals. And I think a lot of people are uncertain about that because, that was 2,000 years ago. He was healing and doing those things. And I've heard people say that was just a sign of the times, just to show that he was the Messiah. But we have to understand how our Messiah works, how the Holy Spirit works, and how God works, because our Messiah said he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. We know that if he was doing something over 2,000 years ago, he's doing the same thing with us here today. The Holy Spirit is alive and well, and he is in our presence. Our Messiah is with us. He's still doing his Father's work. He never stopped. And one of those things that he says was he came to destroy the devil's work. And anything that was he was taking away, those sicknesses, those injuries, whatever they were, those diseases, that was the devil's work. And our God sent his son to destroy that work. And he destroyed that in me, that injury that I thought I had to live with it. It was just not going anywhere. So if you're one of those people who is seeking God's power to heal, I just want to assure you that He is still here healing today, just like He was over 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem. So I wanted to share that with you guys because I felt like it was something that God did for me that I should be sharing with everyone. So don't think that you are unworthy to be healed or that you have to live with some chronic condition because God can and God will heal you. Thank you for listening, and God bless.